Uh, boy, gosh, I've been sick. Still,
I can hear it in your voice. Yeah.
I've been bummed out. As far as shoot, I watched a bunch of Luke Cage,
Okay.
and I'm almost done. I've got two
Uh huh.
episodes left to go. So far, I still like it. So I
So,
don't know about the complaints people had, but we'll see come the end of the last two
the
episodes. But
complaint was that people liked the beginning and not the end. Is that
well,
what it
apparently
was?
the normal complaint that you see, this seems to be a repeat as of late
Hmm.
with
Okay.
the Marvel Netflix shows,
Uh
is
huh.
it's really strong for the first half and then sort of dies out in the second half.
Okay.
And you can kind of see that pattern with Daredevil season two,
Hmm.
Jessica Jones, and apparently with Luke Cage.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where right in the beginning they have a lot of fight scenes, and then about midway through they start going into a lot of exposition.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk and trying to get
Yeah,
somewhere.
and they need to put maybe balance it better so that there's more of the exposition sprinkled throughout, more of the fight scenes sprinkled throughout. The thing is though is that even though there was a lot of exposition that hit right in the middle of Daredevil season one, I thought the season ended really strongly with that awesome fight scene between Daredevil and Kingpin.
I didn't think the fight between him and Kingpin was that great, but I mean, if it works for you,
Well, I liked it just because of the
culmination of meeting each other and
yeah, and the theme behind it. It's like this is David taking down Goliath.
hmm.
You know what I mean?
um, I
It
could
just
see
it was
their
just a really good wrap up to the series.
right. I could see their point with the stories kind of going lackluster in the last bit, in that last half. Luke Cage does have that problem as well. The other complaint I heard is that a lot of people had complaints about the ending, that
Uh,
it wasn't that great. I will have to wait and see on
okay.
that. I have yet to see. I think I'm like two episodes left or something like that. On top of that, I finally started catching up with, gosh, like a year later, season two of Gotham because it's available on Netflix now. And since I missed it when it was on, I can actually sit down and start watching it. So I've been sitting here listening to it slash watching Gotham and playing Warhammer Total War. There should be a new expansion coming out for Warhammer Total War. And here's an interesting thing with the
Have they
game. They
dropped? I was just going to ask if they dropped any more details regarding what was going to be in the.
the DLC
Yeah.
and the DLC that's coming out on the 20th. We
Hmm.
finally figured out what's in it, and they're adding legendary lord stuff for the greenskins and the dwarves, as well as some new units and stuff, which is basically exactly what they did for the Empire and the Undead, which
Uh-huh.
is, I mean, I'm not
It's about
surprised at
time.
all. It feels like, oh well, now let's do the dwarves and the orcs. People have been spinning, and this is the weirdest thing, and the Reddit and the forums have been spinning this long running tale of the wood elves are coming, the wood elves are coming,
Right.
and everybody's been guaranteeing it's like, well, the next DLC is going to be the wood elves, the next group we're going to get is going to be the wood elves. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. Just so I put this down perfectly well, nothing's been confirmed. The only reason why they have any rumor about the Wood Elves is because somebody data mined and found Wood Elves in there somewhere.
Uh
That's it.
huh.
No confirmation about when it's coming out, if it's coming out, or if it's just like a hopeful in the code and nobody has actually added or done anything on it yet.
Maybe it's just a mission. You have to do something for the Wood Elves.
Maybe, but it's kind of lame that people have already like tantamount confirmed
Hmm.
when they've never said anything about the Wood Elves. Like they teased on Twitter what the next DLC was going to be because everybody's been waiting with a bated breath because it's been a long time since we've had our last DLC, like a month or so.
Right.
And somebody tweeted, one of the guys who works at CA tweeted, don't get green with envy, but you'll be seeing something short very soon. And everyone's like, oh my gosh,
Green
what
and
else
short.
confirms? What else confirmed? And the guy's like, and his response to that message was like, no. Like immediately people were like, what else confirmed? And the way he phrased it makes you go, probably dwarves and greenskins.
Yeah, no kidding.
The way he sort of like teased this stupid thing.
I'm
And I was
sitting
like,
there going,
really, you
green
guys,
and short.
you
Greenskins.
they read stuff. Everybody said, well, the next faction that we're going to get is going to be the Wood Elves. They're just going to be the Wood Elves. I was like, at what point did you think that the faction that was already in the game, that's already part of multiplayer, that you just can't play yet in single player, Bretonia, is not going to be the next DLC, the next faction? Are they the easiest one to add? Are they not the fastest one to put together?
It's already there. All the resources are there. They just have to make it playable and then give them missions.
But everybody's sitting here. It's the stupidity of the internet and nerddom where they want it to happen and then they act like it's absolutely confirmed. Some guy writes a post that he thinks it's going to happen and then everybody takes it as absolute truth. And it's stupid because the Total War Reddit is just out of control with the stupid rumors about the Wood Elves and everybody freaking out. All the confirmation you have is somebody data mined and found the Wood Elf, like some files with Wood Elves on it. That's it.
And it could be that that it was a test file thing that they left in there, and they don't actually plan on bringing them into the game ever. It's just an artifact left over.
They might not plan on it at all.
Yeah.
It's so weird and entertaining to read this stuff. It's almost like politics in a way.
You know, it makes me think that what happened was somebody tweeted, "Oh, I really love Warhammer. I really love this game. It's so awesome. Wish there were Wood Elves." And somebody's like somebody took it and was like, "Oh, there's going to be Wood Elves." You know, it totally blew past the wish there were Wood Elves and just got there are Wood Elves.
I want Wood Elves more than anybody else. They're the actual faction I own as an army.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some archers. Set up some Wood Elves, have big fights. It's going to be fantastic. I want Wood Elves. There's no confirmation yet. And I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. Because everybody was predicting stuff that was going to happen with this next DLC. There was so much speculation. When we finally found out, everyone was like, oh. I was like, what did you expect? It's got to come out when it comes out or not at all.
You know, it's one of those things. So I was watching a video earlier today, and it was about DOA Extreme Volleyball 3, I think it was. I think so. And right now there are no plans to bring it to the United States. None whatsoever.
People have already pirated it or whatever.
Oh yeah. They pirated it, they've imported it, but there's no plans for an official US release of the game.
Right.
But there's a whole legion of DOA Extreme fans that are trying to sign internet petitions to get it brought to the United States.
Here's the problem, though. And I'm not to derail your point, but
no, go ahead.
It never sold well. And
right.
Part of the reason why they really want this and they could get petitions is because they can't have it.
Right.
That's why they want it.
Well, it's scantily clad women and they're a bunch of nerds.
Well, yeah, but it never really sold that well in the U.S., so pretending like we deserve this and we have to, like...
It's not a financially viable option for them.
They'll come out with it if it makes financial sense, but if it doesn't...
Yeah, exactly. But my thing here is that basically I take this Wood Elves thing right now to be somewhat similar to this DOA Extreme petition. It's not going to amount to anything because it sounds like what they're doing is they're trying to force the developer's hand at this point. They're like, oh yeah, Wood Elves confirmed, and we're going to come up in arms if you don't give us the Wood Elves and blah blah blah. And so they're trying to force the developer to even if the plans are in the works to bring the Wood Elves as a single player or a multiplayer faction. It's going to be on the developer's timetable, not yours.
Well,
and trying to force the developer at this point to push forward their plans is only going to backfire in your faces.
How successful was that giant, I don't know, advertising billboard that they rented out outside of Valve to try and get Half-Life 3 released?
Exactly.
How successful was that? Where's Half-Life 3?
Yeah.
I honestly, that whole hullabaloo about the guy inside Valve saying that they have no intention of making Half-Life 3 and that it actually, why would they? Because the only opportunity they have is if they release it is they would simply disappoint everybody. So there's almost no financial reason to put it out and then damage the IP because it doesn't live up to the craziest expectations.
And that is a possibility. I mean, it is entirely possible that they could come out with a steaming pile and ruin the franchise. I don't think I think they're going to eventually come out with it, but again, it's going to be, if they do, it's going to be on their timetable, not ours.
That's how Valve always did it.
Yeah.
But it's that insider stuff where they're like, after all the fallout between people being pissed off with Mass Effect 3 and all of the drama, there's just very likely.
Well, the thing is that
they just sat on it and they're like, we don't have any motivation to get this done.
In my opinion, there's a valid reason for that fallout. We had this story that took us through 3 games, and we're expecting, because of the way that the story is set up, that our choices actually meant something to the game.
I agree with you. I didn't like the game. It pissed me off. But even my cantankerous, angry response to the whole thing pales in comparison to the weirdly aggressive anger that the fans had. Like, I didn't like it, I hate the game, and then I walked away. I didn't attack the developers, and it got so bad that it affected the brand and the company. But to the point where they had to answer and then come out with like a fix to the story. That's how bad it got, and that anger was enough to scare off other developers.
Yeah, but if you had liked the ending, if the ending had been based on the choices that you made going through the game, do you think that you would have had a much better opinion of the game?
Yeah,
I mean, there's always a possibility.
You don't have a right to be pissed off with a game if you don't like it and you invested all this time with it. What I'm saying is the angry response was overboard.
It was. It completely was overboard.
It was way too far. And that's what scared off the developers. It's like, if you like these games and want them to keep going, try not to burn in effigy all of the devs outside their building. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I'm just
Death
wondering.
Threats don't help
Yeah.
the game get any better.
No, they don't. If you give the developer death threats, it's either, well, we're closing our doors, or screw you, we don't care. And we're going to do whatever we want to do, which is what Valve has always done, like you said. Anyway, I guess my point was, I think that if Mass Effect 3 had come out and the story had been, the ending to the story had actually been based on the choices you made throughout the game, rather than like
just been better. I
don't know if it would have been better. I'm not going to say it would have been better. I'm going to say that if the ending had been based on your choices, that there would have been a lot smaller backlash, if any, because people would have thought, I have power to do this. I have power to change the story. It's not, I'm forced into this.
I agree. That did suck, because you felt like these games that kept telling you that your choices mattered, and you got to the end and your choices didn't matter. You just had one choice. Well, 3 choices at the very end, and they were all kind of the similar ending and dumb.
Right.
However, if they would have given you only one choice and everybody got the same ending and it was at least good, not 3 bad choices, I don't think people would still be as pissed off. They would be angry that they felt like the choice was taken away from them, but at least it was a good ending.
That's true.
You see my point? Well. Like, instead of getting, like, giving us the feeling like our choices mattered, we got 3 choices and our choices didn't matter and they were all bad choices.
Yeah.
That's what was sort of stupid about the whole thing. To jump back on the Total War.
Okay, go ahead.
They also announced a free LC, they call it.
Right.
And people are surprised at this because the free LC announcement is adding another orc faction and another dwarf faction, whereas normally you just had the dwarves, the humans, the orcs. You can actually play as like the bloody-handed orcs or something, and it's another dwarf faction. So if you wanted to play co-op with a friend, you can both play as orcs.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Or you could both play as dwarves. And this is the first time ever because the humans have like, I don't know, 6 or 8 different factions, but you can only play as Empire. And people have come out with the ability to unlock playing as the other ones. It's sort of like a modded, not as
it's
perfect
a cheat. Well, I shouldn't say cheat, but it's a hack.
Right, so everybody's like, well, you need to do this with everything, and why only these 2 factions? And it's like, they're giving you something you've been complaining about, and they're like, is it not enough?
And I wonder, I was watching a video earlier, and it was talking about some of the things that we don't, as gamers, like. And one of the things is the paid DLC and what was it? The nickel and diming of the microtransactions and stuff.
Total War is definitely culprits when it comes to nickel and diming you over constant small updates and DLCs that force everybody. It just gets bad.
And I wonder if some of this we deserve this kind of mentality stems from this. It's like we feel that they're trying to milk us for cash. And we're like, well, if they're going to milk us for cash, they better be giving us something that's worth it.
That might be it. I actually don't blame Total War to some degree because Total War is a very expensive game to make.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And by most metrics, if game prices went up with inflation, we would be at like $100 by now.
Right.
And because of how difficult it is to make, they have to make DLC because that's where they're going to earn their money. I don't mind them doing the DLC as long as the DLC is a reasonable price and you get something. You get something worth a darn. As opposed to, we're going to let you do this that you could already do in the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, oh, come on, dude. That's not what I want. I want to be able to play and get something neat out of what I'm trying to purchase. But what are you going to do? I could complain about this forever, but it's been on my mind because I've been playing Total War. This is more saved for the next podcast, but as an FYI, the long-rumored and everybody trying to kill themselves and the crazy internet rumors that have been going on, this is basically just as bad as people wanting Half-Life 3. But they finally confirmed the next Red Dead Redemption.
Wow.
And it has been rumored at every E3 for like 8 years or something ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation on Red Dead Redemption too.
But every E3, everyone's like, well, it's coming. They're going to announce it. No announcement. It's coming, though. They're going to announce it. No announcement. I did read one post that was probably the dumbest post I've ever seen. I think it might have been from Kotaku.
Okay.
But somebody said something to the effect of, like Red Dead Redemption should be set in modern times. The second one, and I was like, that's not what. The whole point of it is a cowboy adventure, where you're like, the next one should be put in modern time. Are you an idiot? Is this what you're telling me? You're just stupid.
I could see them going in that direction. It reminds me of the story behind the movie Perdition,
But then I wouldn't buy the game.
But yeah, it
At that
wouldn't
point,
be
it'd
Red
just
Dead
be a
Redemption.
shooter in modern time. The reason why people like Red Dead Redemption is it's a gritty story, a very, very good Western, very fun game. That where you don't go around and just blast and machine gun everybody like Call of Duty. You have pistols with 6 shots, and you got to be accurate, and you take people out. The game's great fun. But you put in modern time, you might as well make a different game, which it would be.
It would be a different game at that point, yeah.
But whatever, everybody's psyched. The rumors have been confirmed.
So on the last podcast, I mentioned that I finished Dracula, and
didn't you tease that or whatever?
Yeah, I teased it.
Because everybody's been waiting with a bated breath, which means we have a lot of passed out people out there because
it's been a week. So I read the book. I'd been meaning to read it for a while. I picked it up once. I read through the first few chapters, and then I had to take it back to the library, and I just got so busy I never got back to it. And then I found a cheap copy, bought it, finally read it. I loved it. I thought it was great. There were a couple places where it kind of slowed down and things and whatnot, but no book is perfect. I know there's a bunch of people out there that are wanting to, if they ever heard me say that about Dracula, would want to crucify me. But it's not a perfect book.
Stake through the heart. It's an older book, and holding it to modern standards might be a mistake, but I wouldn't expect it to be perfect. It's like when people talk about Harry Potter is just so awesome, and I'm like, I think it's bad.
Yeah.
And then they're like, how dare you, sacrilegious, yada, yada, yada. Like, I was talking to somebody who's obsessed with Game of Thrones. He's like, oh, it's the greatest written book ever. I like this. I was like, I think it's bad. I think not only is it bad storytelling, but it's bad writing. And he looked at me like, how dare you?
Well, especially when I've found out some of the stuff about his writing style. When I think people are going to be able to tell what's going on, I just randomly change it.
Well, it just makes for a chaotic and hectic story that goes nowhere.
Yeah. So one of the things that intrigued me is I was reading this, and you know how there's this mentality, I shouldn't say mentality, there's this idea of the mystique of the vampire where he's sexy and suave and all this stuff, right? Well, the description that Bram Stoker gives of Dracula right at the beginning, he's this old, ugly man with hairy palms. Old, ugly man. The thing is that I got far enough in and I found out what it is. He can change his age. And when he moved from Transylvania to London, he regressed so that he would be more attractive at that point. So I read it, and there's a couple of things like, there's if you know anything about the Dracula story, he's a Transylvanian count based on Vlad the Impaler. And what he does is he's basically subjugated his little fiefdom in Transylvania and wants to move to a place with a new supply of victims. And so he chooses London because it's a big city at the time and everything. And so he through Jonathan Harker, he buys some property. Jonathan Harker goes to Transylvania to transfer the deeds and all that stuff. And then he moves to Transylvania. Jonathan Harker gets kind of left behind in Transylvania. You don't hear about him until he pops up later. Somehow he escapes Dracula's castle, but at that point he's like, his hair is now white, and he had this like brain fever is what they called it.
Is he the Keanu Reeves character?
He is the Keanu Reeves character. Yes.
From the movie.
And so Keanu Reeves, Jonathan Harker, before he left, was going to marry Mina Harker, or Wilhelmina Murray, Mina Murray. And so you get excerpts from both of their journals, and then you find out there's a doctor involved and there's another guy. Mina Harker has a friend named Lucy. She's one of the first victims of Dracula when he gets to London. They bring in Abraham von Helsing, who is an expert in these matters, and he proves to them that she is now a vampire. They kill Lucy and make it so that her soul can rest in peace. And then they get the whole group together. And the thing is that, like I said, Jonathan Harker was supposed to marry Mina Murray, and he does in the book. And the journal entries and stuff are all about how much she loves her fiance and then husband. Well, Dracula gets wind of their plot to destroy him, and he then begins the conversion process on Mina Harker. She's now married to Jonathan, and so they are rushing against the clock to keep her from turning into a vampire, and the only way they can do it is by killing Count Dracula, which they do at the end. And there's this one guy, in the process of killing Dracula, he basically takes a mortal wound. But he still fights through and stabs Dracula in the heart and helps finish him off. So I thought it was really good. There's a lot of not necessarily everything made sense. It was not the smoothest, best written story, but I still enjoyed it. And then I watched the movie, and the movie is garbage.
Is it the Bram Stoker's?
It's the one with Gary Oldman.
Yeah. I actually
what's his
think
name?
Gary Oldman's a fantastic actor.
Gary Oldman is a fantastic
actor.
actor.
He actually doesn't do a terrible job. It's just an odd, and it's kind of weird and creepy, and that weird hair thing that they got going on. Keanu Reeves is in it.
Keanu Reeves. For some reason, Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder are in it.
Yeah.
And which makes no sense. I mean, couldn't they find two moderately attractive English actors? I mean, they had English actors for every other part.
Come on, it's
Well, Gary Oldman was Dracula, but you know. But what I was going to say,
you didn't like the movie.
Anthony Hopkins was in it. He was Bram Stoker, or not Bram Stoker, Abraham Von Helsing. But the thing is that they it's Hollywood. They couldn't just tell the story. They had to screw it up. They injected, they made it into this love story between Dracula and Mina Murray for some reason, because they had to give Dracula a motivation. And his motivation was that back when he was alive, he was warring against the Turks, and he was engaged to be married to Elisabetta, also played by Winona Ryder. She jumps to her death because the Turks convince her that her beloved was killed in battle. So she jumps out of the castle.
I
and
remember
dies.
that, yeah.
And then he curses God and stabs the altar, and blood's coming out of it, and he drinks that blood and becomes a vampire. And then he gets to London, and Mina Murray is, for some reason, the reincarnation of his lost love, and so he starts romancing her. And
I
then
think they were trying to connect the old story with the historical character.
Well, they didn't need to.
Well, I know, but they wanted to. They wanted to ground it somewhat with the actual Vlad.
Well, it already was.
I know. What do you want from me, Jason? They're trying to explain the whole Turk invasion thing and then connect it to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, which they didn't need to do. It was completely superfluous. If they'd cut that part out, it still would have been about Dracula.
I'm not saying they did a good job. I'm saying that seems like what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I know. But they, in my opinion, once again, it was Hollywood. They had to inject sex into it where it wasn't and didn't need to be.
Didn't he have a weird vampire harem or something?
Yeah, well, he does. He does in the book, and he did in the movie.
Okay.
But he leaves them in Transylvania when he leaves for London. Possibly...
Yeah, they spend all their time hitting on Keanu Reeves.
Right. Which doesn't necessarily happen in the book. They pop up in one brief scene in the book, And then again, they surface at the end when Van Helsing slaughters them in their graves.
Yeah, he
But
super did that in the movie, and it was
oh yeah,
entertaining.
yeah. But other than that, I mean, they really weren't a part of the story. It's conceivable that if Dracula had gotten a foothold in London, he would have brought them over, but they just served as steak fodder for Van Helsing. But then then they also have this thing where, like I said, in the book, Dracula figures out what they're trying to do, that they're trying to destroy him. And so he starts converting Mina Murray and Mina Harker at that point. She'd married her fiance and become Mrs. Jonathan Harker. He forcibly converts her against her will into a vampire, or starts the conversion process. In the movie, she willingly submits and wants it to happen, and then at the end protects Dracula from them, and kills him herself because there's this weird thing about you have to, the one who loves you should be the one to end your curse.
Like that's just how it's supposed to go.
Yeah. And the thing is that Van Helsing did do that with Lucy. He's like, he goes to Lucy's fiance, who ends up helping them to destroy Dracula later. And he's like, you need to do this because you are the one who loves her. You're the one that needs to send her soul to rest. And then later with Dracula, I thought the ending in the book was awesome. Like I said, Jonathan Harker slits his throat, and while he's confused with his throat being slit, the other guy stabs him through the heart. The other guy then dies. And later, Jonathan and Mina have children, and they name him after the dude who killed Dracula, basically, who rammed the dagger through his heart. In my opinion, that was a much better ending, because it's like, look, this guy, he was brave. He was, he did what needed to be done, even though he was dying, and his sacrifice meant nothing in the movie. They just threw it away. So, like I said, book, much better. Usually the book is better, granted. I have read Robinson Crusoe, though, and that book was awful. So there are times when the book does not surpass the movie. This was not one of those times. Don't watch that movie. Read the book instead. It's much better.
So I mean, I haven't read it. I am somewhat interested now.
Well, if you'd like to borrow it.
Sure. As an aside, did you just upload 172B?
Possibly. No.
Like,
I'm not
barely?
sure.
Because I got a bunch of messages.
Oh, right. With I'd been having trouble logging into Twitch.
But you just uploaded onto YouTube, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Just barely, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I didn't, it would have been erased.
We must have gotten automated, like they've visualized something or something. But we got a copyright strike on it already.
Awesome!
And the best part is, now this is my favorite part, we got 3.
3? Really? Wow.
So nobody gets the money.
That's awesome.
Namco Bandai, Konami, and Rooster Teeth for some reason. Now, I don't understand why Rooster Teeth. Did they have like an exclusive video that they posted and then we got for a trailer? Was that it? Because
could have been.
They're like a conglomerate group that there's a bunch of Let's Plays.
That's weird.
Like there's no reason Rooster Teeth should be copyright claiming, which is fine because we got 3 people copyright claiming, which means nobody gets the money.
What I try to do when I look for videos is I try not to find any video that somebody else did as a Let's Play. I always try to find a trailer that's released by the actual company.
Those are public release trailers.
Exactly. That's why I try to find those.
And we not only that, but we don't even use the audio. We just play it and with our heads in the corner talk about the game itself.
Right.
That's what confuses me. Maybe we just don't understand what's going on here. I
Maybe.
asked you to challenge Last Copyright to see what was going on,
Yeah, and
but
I
I
need to
don't think
fix
you
that
did.
video first.
But you need to entertaining none the least. Nobody gets
Yeah.
our pennies. Thing is, I don't think we're adequately monetizing the videos anyway, so we don't even like get the pennies that we should be getting.
That's true. So to move on, so like I said, skip the movie. It's awful. We have some videos and video games to go through here
To get copyright claims on, but
to get copyright claims on. The first one, if you want to cue those up,
okay.
the first one is Skylanders Imaginators. It came out yesterday, and it's for Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3, and the Wii U. And this one is an interesting step in the Skylanders.
Yeah, I heard something about this.
Whatchamacallit, series. There we go.
Right.
Instead of just being, the normal thing where you have your little thing and you put your figurine on it and you then get to play that character in the game, you actually get to create your own characters.
See, I speculated if because initially I thought this is really cool. What if they allowed kids to just draw their own creative character, and then that's not how it is. You basically have parts, and then they mix and match parts.
Yes, I mean it is limited in a
Because otherwise, you'd see a lot of suspiciously penis creatures. I guarantee you, that's what we would get.
Yes, but they have 31 new Skylanders in the game. But then you get to create your own with these creation crystals.
Gotta sell them toys. I think you can actually get those creations as toys as well.
Maybe.
I
would be surprised.
Order them or something. At least I thought that's what it was, which I thought would be the coolest thing ever because you have all these toys, you play in these games, and you love them as a kid.
Right.
What if you can make your own hero and then get your own toy of the hero?
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and then I was like, oh, they're just mismatch, and it's not as like you just change it. I'm sure even if they make the toys, it's just like put the other head on it.
Yeah, exactly. This one needs to have this head, this body, this arm, this weapon. There are 10 classes. I don't know how that's going to work, and you have these senseis that you train with. So
it's maybe like you pick a class and then they just get abilities on that class.
But they're also putting Crash Bandicoot in it for some reason.
Yeah. Good for them.
So that's what's going on. They have the story, as far as I can tell, is that again another Chaos has now discovered this mind magic, and he's creating his army of Doomlanders. And so now the senseis are going to train up the heroes that are eventually going to take out the Doomlanders. So you get to create your own characters. Again, it's going to be limited because obviously you can only have what they heads, bodies, whatever that they provide. But that being said, it's still going to give you quite a bit of room to create.
I'm sure kids love it.
You will want to play, yeah. So the next one comes out tomorrow. The vast majority of the ones this week come out tomorrow, so the 18th. And we'd talked about this one before. Crazy Machines 3. We talked about it's coming out for PC. The thing is that maybe the reason we talked about it before was that early release was like last week.
Oh, okay.
And then
your own Rube Goldberg.
Yeah,
machine.
It's the Rube Goldberg game. This one's coming again, but I checked today and double checked, and it's coming out on the 18th. So you can pick this one up on Steam. And again, like Rhett said, it's the Rube Goldberg game. You create your own vehicles and machines to do various things, and this is what we get out of it. And it looks like it could be quite a bit of fun. Just being able to screw around and create your own things, your own machines and whatnot. And I haven't played all of Daedalic Entertainment's games, but I have been pretty impressed with their storytelling. So, so to move on, the next one is coming out for Rift, and it looks really cool. That being said, I still don't actually want to buy a Rift. It's called Eagle Flight.
Is that one of the 4 VR things that exist?
Yeah, Oculus Rift. Yeah. This one was created by Ubisoft.
Oh.
And the thing is that it looks beautiful. You play as an eagle, and you play in a. It's kind of the world ended. The world has ended. Humanity's gone. Paris is all belongs to the birds and stuff now, and so now you get to fly around inside of this humanless city of Paris as an eagle. So you get to see all the sights and stuff of Paris, but you hunt, you defend your territory, you can fly acrobatically as an eagle. And this, I think, will really showcase the hardware, the Oculus Rift. But again, while I said that this does look intriguing and does look